What's up, everybody? It is January 25th, 2026, and today we're going to be diving into the upcoming weather patterns to see what the weather has in store for us. Now, one thing I want to address about last night. I am so sorry that I couldn't upload a video. You see, the thing is, my dad's birthday was originally last Sunday, not the Sunday I'm recording right now on, but last Sunday was his birthday. We didn't get to do much for his birthday, so we did a part 2. Saturday evening was a huge surprise party with tons of people. If you saw my most recent post, it'll explain everything, so make sure to go check that out. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience and that I wasn't able to upload a video last night. It was my dad's birthday. He turned 60, so make sure to put hashtag happy birthday dad in the comment section below. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the forecast. Looking at the 2-meter temperature anomaly in Fahrenheit, we can see there is tons of cold air for the game that's actually going on right now. As we speak, it's Denver versus the Patriots in Denver, Colorado. It's like 9 degrees there or something. It's very, very cold. Dangerously cold, and while just north of this, we could see that there is also some Arctic air, in not to mention the great state of Maine, and we've got North Dakota in the northeastern corner of Montana. Washington, Oregon, and Idaho is also pretty cold. As we scroll on through the days, we could see this really intensify. You could see this might even happen during the game. This is 21Z. I'm not sure. It might get colder, but this is just not to mention a very strong Arctic shot of air. You can see there is well 40 below zero, even down as far south as Texas, and that's going to be affecting Houston. So this is crazy. That's a very strong Arctic air shot. It takes a lot of Arctic air to reach that far south, and we're even getting Arctic air down into Florida, which is unheard of. Now, it's probably not Arctic down there. It's probably, yes, it's going to be a few degrees below normal, which is going to be crazy. It might be 40 degrees or something. That's at the coldest because of its Florida standards. While this Arctic air intensifies for a second, kind of by the Great Lakes in Ohio Valley, and as we scroll on, we can see that's kind of linger and then eventually get bigger in the Great Lakes region. Like I said, Ohio Valley, Upper Midwest. Then this kind of starts to move a little further south before dissipating slightly, and then, what do you know, it builds up again by the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. And finally, we start to let off a little bit as we have this giant warm air mass starting to move in over Canada. Now, this does fluctuate a little bit, as we can see some more Arctic air moving in from the north. That's just about just in Quebec. At the end of a run, it's going to be, most of the Arctic air is going to be in Quebec. There is some Arctic air up here that could potentially give the west a turn, but we don't know that for sure. But we will keep our eyes on the forecast for the next few days. Looking at our, sorry, I'm not sure what it's doing. Let's go back to here. Let's go to home real quick. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, guys. Let's go back here. I don't want it to duel. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. It is the 2-meter temperature in Fahrenheit. We can see right now, like I said, it's 9 degrees in Denver, Colorado, where the Denver Broncos are playing the New England Patriots. And even this evening in like 3 or 4 p.m., it's gonna get warmer for the Seahawks game in Seattle. I think it's in Seattle. And as we scroll on, we can see it's very cold, as we saw this Arctic shot starting to come down from Canada, just like we saw on the previous model. As we can see, the freezing line really starts dropping. And it comes up and then drops back down again. We have some very cold air up in the Canadian land. And this is even pulling into Minnesota here. As we go on, it gets a little warmer, then crashes back down. This is really gets cold. This is going to be, 20 degrees below zero, so please get ready for this. You could get frostbite in as short as 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes or something. So please get ready. Make sure you have a backup heating source. This is not going to be a friendly cold shot. It's going to be gnarly. If you live in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Upper Midwest, Ohio Valley, the great state of Maine, the Northeast, make sure you have a backup heating source. Okay, we're talking about millions of Americans that are going to be struggling with the cold. So please get ready for this. It's not going to be nice. And as we scroll on, we can see this only gets worse. Even 9 degrees, it's warmer than we already saw, but it's still absolutely brutally cold. You could still get frostbite if you're out there for too long. And then it does actually start to get pretty warm and then cools back down. Looking at our 500 millibar height dam and anomaly M, we can see right now this giant ridge that we've been talking about over the past few videos that I've made is finally starting to go north over Alaska, finally giving us a break out west. Well, we have a trough in the middle of the United States. This is no reason it's so cold in Denver right now. Look, a lot of that trough is over Denver, Colorado right now as we speak. As we scroll on, we can see this trough right here tries to take a swing at the west coast, but then it eventually dissipates. Yes, it does make things nicer. There is still some ridging going on, but it's nowhere near the kind of ridging that we had going on the past few weeks. And then we have this trough right here also headed right for the west, which it's actually impacting the Olympics of Washington State and British Columbia. It's not the biggest. This is what we call the biggest. This is going to be also headed our way, as you can see. It tries to take a swing at us here. It kind of does dissipate, but it does eventually come back. And finally, the Pacific Northwest is going to have trough. It's not the biggest trough, but as we reach the end of our run, you can see something starting to get bigger here. This is starting to get more powerful. You can see it just got a little bigger down here by California, so that could be something. We'll keep our eyes on the forecast. Looking at our 7-day precipitation total in inches, 7 days is also the equivalent to 168 hours. So in case you see hours up here, which is likely what it will show, it just means 7 days. If I'm most likely I'll be on that. On the beginning of our run, the Pacific Northwest has tons of precipitation on its way, while the east is going to have precipitation, but it's not going to be nearly as much. Maybe 1.2 to 1.6 inches, while a lot of heavy precipitation is just missing the United States and is instead falling on the Atlantic Ocean. Now, as we scroll on here, we could see this precipitation kind of build and fluctuate over the Pacific Northwest like we talked about. It does seem to be building, especially on Vancouver Island, the Olympic Mountains, and the Cascade-ish Mountains. I think these are the Cascades. Sorry, I don't know why it keeps doing that. In British Columbia. I think they're considered the Cascades. I think they still are. That is the end of our run, but I think there is going to be continued heavy precipitation in the Pacific Northwest, and that includes northwestern California. Looking at our accumulative max 10-meter wind gust miles per hour, in case you can hear like beat drop music or music in the background or talking, just know my dad is a huge Bronco fan. He grew up there, lived most of his life there, so he's watching the game right now. So I apologize if there's any excess noise other than my voice. I don't know if my microphone will pick that up, but if it does, that's the explanation. As of right now, there are actually some high winds. I would say there should be a high wind watch to a warning in this area. You can see some yellows to reds, which the yellows to reds is 50 to 70 miles an hour. As we scroll on, let's just max out our run because this is the accumulative wind gust, not a high wind gust on each day. You can see there's, wow, that's 100-mile-an-hour winds just off the coast of the United States. Luckily, it's in the Atlantic. Otherwise, we would be having serious problems. Oh, what's this? Wait, we need to max this out here. Okay, watch out for this. Okay. There is actually some good wind coming. This stays. There is some wind down here in Mexico, but that's not really what I'm covering right now. up in the Pacific Northwest. Let's look at Washington real quick. I'm just going to cover everything. Don't worry, I'll get Montana and Wyoming and Colorado too. Don't worry. U.S. states. Washington. I want you to look at this. Now, trust me, I am as annoyed as you are that there is a stupid thing that keeps interrupting me. I'm sorry about that. Where I live is right around here. That's like, I live right about here. So that's going to be pretty crazy for me. That's going to be 60 miles an hour. For people who live here up in the Olympics, you could see this gray stuff right here. There's not an exact number on it, but that's 72 miles an hour. That's similar to the bomb cyclone we saw last November. And also along the Oregon coast, so just get ready for this. All right, now let's go for Colorado. This is not what I meant to click on. Colorado, where are you? Here we are, Colorado. I also saw some high winds here in the northern Rockies of Colorado. That's also 72 miles an hour. And also, let's go to Wyoming real quick. All right, Wyoming. Where's the Y of the oming? Wyoming. Sorry, there's a giant list of over 50 states here. Here we are. Wyoming. Here, it's the very bottom one. Wyoming is my biggest general concern. Look at this. That's over. Okay. After this video is over, I will make sure that this stupid bar doesn't stop bursting into my screenshot zone. I apologize greatly. In these kind of pinkish zones past the grays, that could be possibly 80 to 90 miles an hour. Not sure many people live in this kind of backcountry, but if you do, get ready. Make sure you have a generator, chainsaw, fuel those things up. Get ready for this. This is on February 9th. Not sure if this is 100% going to happen, but the odds are there's at least going to be something. So this could potentially be pretty widespread. So get ready for this. Looking at Montana. All right. Montana. Looking for the M's. Montana. Here we are, Montana. Montana also, this is probably my biggest general concern. I feel like this is going to be more widespread up here, even into I think what I believe to be is Alberta. Also is going to be some high winds, but I would generally keep my eye on this zone here. So I'm including all of the national parks that are in here, especially the one up here. Here, looking at that could be potentially 80 to 90 mile an hour winds, like I said. And this is going to be really widespread, so get ready for this. I'm not sure if this will happen. This is also on February 9th. This is at the end of our run. I don't know if this is 100% what's going to happen, but chances are this might happen, so this is going to be pretty brutal. So like I said, get your generators oiled up and gassed up, and get your first aid supplies, chainsaws, and all that stuff ready, because this might get crazy. Looking back at the entire United States, most of the wind is missing us, so thank God for that. Sorry about that if you heard my dad yelling, "Go baby, go baby, go nice." That's because he's watching the Bronco game right now, as I said. He's a huge Bronco fan, and so am I. Even though I live in Washington. But that's just how I grew up. Finally, we can look at our 32-day snow maxing us out here. This is the extended model, so that's why it's on March 11th. You can see tons of snow for the mountains out west and the great state of Maine. Also, a few inches of snow for the lowlands of Denver. Looking at our 46-day snow, even more snow for the great state of Maine and the Northeast in general. The Great Lakes region, absolutely. Get those lake effect snow machines turned on. Not to mention the snow for Canada here, especially in BC and Alaska. Looking at our control model, which has been disappointing me lately. First, let's max this out here. Here we go. It's been disappointing me because just 5 runs ago, which was really just a few days ago, it showed this. Tons of snow, even more snow for the mountains out west. That includes Telluride, which is very famous. But the latest run shows a lot less, honestly, for a lot of the country. So let's hope this improves. Maybe it'll make an improvement either this evening or next week. So until then, I will see you guys next Saturday. Or no, I will see you guys this evening. And then after that, I will see you maybe in the middle of the week. I might plan on making a video on Wednesday. Not sure if that's going to be 100%, but until then, I'll see you on Saturday. Or I guess I'll see you on Sunday and Saturday.